All right, good morning. On your desk, you should have the angle relationships guide, which was the notes from yesterday that talk about the 6 different types of angles that we have when given parallel lines in a transversal. Remember, parallel lines are lines that never cross. The transversal is the line that goes across both of them, okay? I'm going to briefly run through these and then talk about the worksheet that you have to do today. Corresponding angles are angles on the same side of the transversal and in the same position of the parallel lines. Corresponding angles are congruent. Corresponding angles are angles such like 2 and angle 6. They're on the same side of the transversal, same position on the parallel lines. Alternate interior angles are angles on the inside of the parallel lines and on opposite sides of the transversal. Alternate exterior angles are angles outside the parallel lines and opposite the transversal. Consecutive interior angles are angles inside the parallel lines on the same side of the transversal. Vertical angles are angles opposite of each other when 2 lines cross. And a linear pair is 2 angles that form a line, okay? Like I said, corresponding angles are congruent. Alternate interior and alternate exterior angles are congruent. Consecutive angles are supplementary. Vertical angles are congruent. And a linear pair is supplementary as well. So today, on your worksheet, you are going to finish the front and back for homework. I will do an example with you. So the first set of problems, you are going to classify each pair of angles as one of the following: alternate interior, alternate exterior. Supplementary could be either a linear pair or consecutive angles. Then you got corresponding angles, vertical angles, and then none of these, which means they don't have a relationship. Okay, you're using the diagram to the right to figure that out. On number 9, you have 2 pieces of information here. You have let angle 2 be 97 degrees, so you can mark that on the lines. And then angle 6 is 83 degrees. Okay, and then using this information, you are going to find angles 3, 10, 9, 5, 7, and 16. Now, if I do one for you and we look at angle 3, you notice that angle 3 and angle 2 have a relationship. That relationship is vertical angles. And you know vertical angles, based off of our sheet here, vertical angles are congruent, which means they have the exact same measure. So angle 3 is 97 degrees. Whereas angle 10, you could look at this one of 2 ways. Now I'm going to label angle 3 since I know what it is. Angle 10 corresponds to angle 2, which makes those angles congruent, but it also is the alternate interior angle to angle 3. Remember, alternate interior angles are also congruent. That being said, angle 10 is 97 degrees, and you could just look at it 2 different ways. For numbers 10, 11, and 12, it asks you to set up an equation and then solve. And it says let angle 4 be 77 degrees. So here's angle 4, and we're letting it be 77 degrees. And it says let angle 8 be the expression 4x plus 57. Now, what do we know about angle 4 and angle 8? What is their relationship? Their relationship is corresponding angles, and I know that corresponding angles are congruent, so I can set them equal to one another. So that's 77 equals 4x plus 57, because these are congruent. And since we're kind of solving an algebraic equation, we can use the equal sign. Now, in order to solve this, you want to subtract 57 on both sides. You get 20 equals 4x, and then divide both sides by 4 to get x equals 5. Okay, you are to do the same thing for numbers 11 and 12. On the back, it asks you to, for 9 and 10, it just wants the type of relationship, what's the name of these angles, and the relationship. Okay, so when you mark the angles, you notice that given the parallel lines, my transversal, there's 2 of them, but the one I'm using is actually the one that's up and down. And since X and Y are on the same side inside the parallel lines, that's consecutive. And consecutive angles are supplementary. Okay. Whereas in 11 through 18, you want to tell me the name, what's the relationship, and what is the angle measure that's missing. So if we look at number 11 and you mark the angle 110 and the question mark, you'll notice that those are alternate exterior angles because they're on the outsides of the parallel line and they're on opposite corners. Alternate exterior angles based on my chart here are congruent. And since they're congruent, that means the question mark is 110 degrees. If I look at number 13 and I mark my angles, they're on the same side and on the inside, so that makes them consecutive. Consecutive angles are supplementary. And since they're supplementary, you want to create an equation that, and we'll just let the question mark be the variable x. So x plus 100 equals 180 for my one-step equation, minus 100 on both sides, and I get that x equals 80, or my question mark is 80 degrees.